Howdy folks, here's the second video log for today over at Stump Pass Beach State Park. You know what the funniest thing is? I am practically sitting at the same spot I was in my last video. But then I noticed even further, after I was filming my first video, I noticed even more flora, especially the one behind me, which I'll point out at a moment. And then one even to my left, and then even one behind me. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Alrighty. So in my last video, I of course was pointing out the chaff flower. But then I realized that shortly after filming, I noticed that we have this plant right here. This is actually known as either the black nightshade or the common nightshade. Now, this is also a native plant to Florida. And, whoops, in a sense, it kind of does act as a shrub. And with that being said, what they will produce are bundles of the berries right here. Now, your first question that may come to mind is, are these edible? Well, I hate to break it to you, but no. These have been found to be poisonous. Or, some of you may say, they could be edible, but only once. But yeah, you don't want to eat these. You want to avoid them. But, yeah, and what's neat about the plant, too, is they produce these flowers right here. Oftentimes, from what I've read from various sources, the flowers are believed to look like an upside down peeled banana. Because as you can see, you got the petals, the 5 petals right there, and then you have that yellow, those yellow stamens, which kind of represents the banana in a sense. But what's actually very fascinating about the plant is it actually falls under the family of Solanaceae, which actually makes it related to many of the plants that we value in terms of food, such as tomatoes, potatoes, tomatillos, and even various peppers. So you could say that they are a distant cousin. However, these aren't edible, which is the very unfortunate part of it. But yes, this is the common nightshade right here. Okay? So then next up, we got ourselves the Manyspike Sedge right here. And these are very prominent features, especially along dunes, of course. And these also, in a sense, act as a stabilizing plant. Because I'm tugging, like, really hard. And, like, this is not going anywhere at all. So it's very well anchored in the sand. So that's what this is one of those plants that helps contribute to soil stabilization to allow this barrier island to last even longer. Now, they call it Manyspike Sedge because if you look towards the tip here, or the top, there are hundreds of individual spikes on the top here. And each one kind of has like their own little, has their own little bundle. Oh no, I got seeds all over me. Whoops. But yeah, you figure there are hundreds of individual spikes on this flat sedge. Now, you may be thinking, how do we really know that it is a sedge? Well, sedges, oftentimes this is where people get confused. So you got 3 different types of, monocots, right? You got your grasses, sedges, and rushes. So for one thing, grasses in general they are usually a bit more, I mean, oftentimes grasses are a bit more hollow on the inside, and they're a bit more rounded. And so, like, for instance, like, I'm trying to point out a good example. Actually, no, that's not a good one. But the bottom line is, grasses oftentimes are hollow along the stem. But then, sedges are known to have edges. So as you can see, along the stem here, you can see that here's one edge, there's another edge, and then there's a third edge. So oftentimes, the stem has a bit of a triangular shape associated. Yeah, the Manyspike Sedge. And then rushes, on the other hand, rushes are known to be round as well, but there's one big difference, is rushes usually have a bit of a pithy material inside the stem. So it kind of has like a sponge-like texture associated. But like I said, when we actually stumble upon a rush, I will do a separate video. So there's actually one more plant that I want to feature you guys. So here we go. Alright, mates. So I finally stumbled upon it. So this plant is known as the Spotted Beebalm. And what's fascinating about the plant is it actually has relation to other mint plants as well. And actually, as a matter of fact, I think it's known as a dotted mint leaf, something of the sort. Because if you look closely, you can see on the leaves there, or on some of the flowers, they have the dots on them. But they're a very intricate flower. Kind of reminds you of looking at, I don't know, maybe like a crown or something of the sort. It's a very complex pattern. Now, oftentimes, from what I have read about the plant, is if you rub it together, like the leaves, and you smell it, it produces sort of an oregano scent. And it does. I can approve of it. And that's that's kind of ironic. Like, it's related to the mints, but yet it produces an oregano scent. And those are like two separate types of herbs that exist. But the spotted, or the dotted mint, or the spotted beebalm, it's been found to provide medicinal value. So as, for instance, the plant has had use as a decoction in tea to be used to promote relaxation, for instance. And it's also been found to help with, or help act as an antifungal and an antimicrobial treatment for various sicknesses. So it's actually a very valuable plant too. But as it approaches into the winter, this will eventually die, and you won't, go back into the ground, the roots. So, but then once it reaches into the spring, they'll be flowering again. So you could say that these are in fact perennials. But yeah, it's alright, you guys. Forgive me for the length of the video, but yeah, there were just a couple more plants that I just couldn't resist to help point out to all of you. So, once again, thanks for watching. Enjoy your Sunday, and Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.